Welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Shed. My name is Adam, and with me again this week, a man who likes his coffee like he likes his women without some other guy's dick in it. Jake, how you doing?
I can't imagine anyone putting their dick in my coffee.
It happens, I guess.
Thankfully, I don't drink coffee.
Well, it happens in Washington State, I hear.
Please introduce me.
Really? Okay.
Well, as you heard, we have a guest with us again this week. Ashton, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's
You're back.
going on, guys?
Yeah, you're back, and we're glad to have you back.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So what's new, man?
Not too much. Doing the same stuff as last time, freezing my balls off.
Yeah, it's
Not that cold.
It's pretty cold.
it's pretty cold. Hasn't warmed up much since the last time he's come
Maybe
on.
we should have given you this seat
Why is that? Oh,
because we're closer.
right
I'm
by
closer
the
to the heater here.
That's right.
He knew that already, but he offers it late. It's okay.
Yeah, it's my fault.
I figured the cold snap would keep him awake.
Yeah. He was talking about some of the things in the notes that might keep him awake.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is a crazy story. Jake, how you been, though?
I'm good. I sold my car this week. Tuesday, whatever it was.
Carless.
Well, yeah. I rode my bike a couple days.
Carless bastard.
Did you really?
my own fault.
You rode your bike?
I did ride my bike. I think it was Wednesday. I texted Adam and everything. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I rode my bike. And he goes, it was like -10. What are you thinking?
I was like,
it
yeah.
was fucking cold.
Nice
I wish you
out,
guys
0
could see
degrees.
how I'm looking at him right now.
Yeah, I'm getting the what the hell is wrong with you face.
And if you knew where he lived and where his work is, that's a fucking cold ride in the morning.
It's
And
about,
if you know where we live, I mean, that's...
yeah,
People do. They know we're in a shed in Maine. So
Yeah,
it's,
right. It was about 3 miles, but it really wasn't that bad. Once you got going, it really wasn't all that bad. But I'm gonna go look at a couple other things this weekend. So hopefully no more walking and no more biking, at least until it's warm.
Well, with all the money we're making with this podcast, you should be
Yeah.
able to get yourself a nice car.
Yeah, all $0. Set up a Patreon. Yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're working on
It's
it.
hard. It's hard. People.
It's probably really like super easy, but we're just saying it's hard. You know what I mean?
Done in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like setting up iTunes.
You know, but talking about setting things up, Jake, you brought a real sweet upgrade to the shed. Why don't you tell us a bit about that? This is awesome.
we got a nice big screen in here. I know for all of those who can see right
Yeah.
now, we're streaming live. No, not really, but
We will be soon.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
We brought a monitor in. We were gonna put a big TV in here, but we're trying this one out. It's gonna let us share notes and be more organized, I guess, as we're going through our stories.
Hopefully,
so that's kind of cool.
A better finished product.
Yep, that's the hope.
So, what do you think, Ashton? This is kind of like a command center almost.
No,
now.
it's nice. I thought you guys did it for me, but I guess it's the new edition. I felt special. I don't feel so special anymore.
Well, it's easier for everyone because we found that the last couple episodes that we recorded, it's hard for everyone to keep track when we're looking through our own paper notes. It's easier that we all just follow along and, what page did you see this on? Oh, don't worry, it's right there because we're all looking at the same thing.
Good idea.
And
So-
then we still have our computers free, so we can bring up images and
Right.
work
So-
on, edit live and do stuff like that. So to try to continue to grow the show.
Got some great ideas.
And a lot of it came from, listeners that gave us some suggestions, as far as sound effects and clip-ins and stuff like that. So we got I can't think of anybody's names right now off the bat. Can you?
No, not really.
But you know who you are, and thank you for...
round of applause for us.
that's right, golf clap.
Golf clap.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So today we got kind of a weird story.
Yep. But before you go that far, what are you drinking?
Oh yeah,
You forget the beer review every week.
My
We were just
mistake.
talking about trying to go to some of these new local places.
You know what it is? The truth is, Jake, is that we always make fun of how much you're drinking. I'm already about 4 or 5 deep in this.
That's true. That's very true.
But no, you're right. You're right. So we're drinking New Belgium. What would you call it? Citradelic.
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 Like
Yeah.
psychedelic, right?
I think so. It's a tangerine IPA. I like that IPA business, and it's a 6%.
Brewed in Fort Collins, Colorado.
So you know it's good.
So it's not local, but it's good.
It's definitely good. I'm a fan.
I am too.
It's not bad.
I do like my Baxters, though. I got to give a shout out to Baxters Brewing. 'Cause
Yep.
They're one of the best in the.
Oh wait, golf clap. Or wait, we don't really have a shout out sound effect, but I guess golf clap will work.
We need one.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
And there's another local brew we're going to be checking out pretty soon, but that's not what we have right now. What we got right now is Citradelic, and I'm going to give it 4 Scully Fingers today.
What are you gonna give it, Ashton?
I'll have to say 3.5, and the reason is because you guys thought that this beer would put me under the table with 2, and I'm thinking it would take at least 3 or 4.
You think so?
So, because you guys judged me off the beer has to suffer, and now it gets 3. Collateral damage.
We're sorry, New Belgium. That was our fault.
Sorry, but what do you give it, Jake?
I'm giving it 4. I tried a little bit the other day, and it was really good. And now that I'm actually getting to enjoy a full one, I'm very impressed.
Yeah. So if you haven't tried Citradelic by New Belgium, check it out. It's out there. It's easy to find.
The only reason I can't give it a 5 is because it's not. I'm sorry, I'm prejudiced. It's not a local.
It's not a local.
Beer.
Yeah.
I'm turning into a beer snob. I don't know how I feel about it.
You know what? There's local brewers that follow us on social media. If you guys hear this, get in contact with us. We'd love to try your beers. Let us know what you got. And to any listeners, let us know what we should be drinking in the shed.
Yeah.
The weather's going to be warming up. Ashton don't like to be cold.
Right.
He likes his summer ales. Let us know what we need to bring to the shed to drink.
And if Citradelic would like to prove that they could drink me under the table, I mean, I'm all for that.
He's all for free beers.
Let's do it.
That's just that.
I mean,
you guys should see Ashton right now. He's got a hat on, gloves. He looks like he's freezing.
No
and
joke.
Ashton and I, Adam and I are just kind of like, hey, it's all right. It's all right in here.
it's a little cold.
We're conditioned to the shed, to the climate, to the
at this point,
to the severity of doing this podcast for you people who are at work right now.
That's right.
Or driving to work or on the subway.
I hope you guys have a great Monday.
Hope you have a great Monday, because we're having a great Friday right now. I had a
right.
great week, and I'm ready to
cheers.
Cheers, fellas. Yeah, cheers to a Friday, and to a good beer, and to an interesting story here. What do we got, Jake?
We're going to talk about Matthew J. Hoffman.
The BMX biker.
No, not the BMX biker. The dude that buried people under leaves or something.
Oh, okay.
Something about leaves. This guy was like obsessed with trees.
Tarzan. That's
what we're going to call him. Tarzan.
Yeah, kind of a weird Tarzan.
Yeah, he wasn't like swinging from trees
kind
and
of
trying
a
to
weird
meet that
Tarzan.
Weird scientist girl or whatever.
Kind of a rapey, sick Tarzan, really. It's
yeah.
So what do we got on him? Let's do a quick overview here, Jake.
Well, he's a murderer. He has 3 victims total. His murders occurred on November 10th, 2010, and he was arrested 4 days later. He was 30 years old at the time. He just turned 30, actually. His birthday is November 1st. He killed a mother and her friend and the mother's son. The mother had a daughter who was a couple of years older than her son.
And I believe she was involved in this as well.
She was involved, yes, but she survived.
Yeah.
He stabbed him.
And
Do you have a sound effect for that, maybe? Probably not.
We don't have a stab sound effect.
No, we
Damn
don't.
it, we came preloaded today, too.
I know. I have an explosion sound effect.
You got one? Doesn't apply.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
No, I wasn't feeling it.
Save it for later.
Yeah, right.
Edit that out, actually.
Now, this happened in the lovely state of Ohio. Actually, that's a state where there's been a lot of serial killers, actually, from what I've, looking stuff up. So
Between there and California.
Yeah. Good serial killer states.
Yeah, no shit, right? It's like they start in Ohio and then they move over to California.
Actually, I just found out Virginia is very popular for murders and serial killers and things like that. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Virginia, born and raised. So just kind of doing my research.
So as we already said, this guy got captured 4 days after, and I believe he ended up with life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Good.
Or with is that what it was?
Without parole.
Without parole, yeah. So bad dude.
Yep.
So I guess before we get too deep into this, what they know about his early life is very little, right? Did you guys find anything on him,
He loved a good squirrel sandwich.
Yeah. Who doesn't, man? Come on.
Just walk in the subway. Do you want white or wheat bread?
He was a real nut.
But you know what's true, though? You do touch on that. And people that knew him in his early childhood, they all think of him as a weirdo. They as far back as this guy can be remembered, he was just that odd guy. Maybe because he was hanging out in people's neighborhood trees, watching them and doing stuff like that. He was even doing these weird things as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's very little known about this guy at a young age, other than he was just typical strange kind of dude. But I guess this will take us to the events because we don't know much about him. He was in the military. We do know that, I believe.
Yep.
Wasn't
he arrested? Wasn't he arrested before that?
Yeah, he does have. I believe he did break.
For burning down a building, right? He had burnt down a condominium, right?
That's true. So he does have a criminal
To cover up him. Maybe
I think he was trying to break in somewhere, wasn't he?
Right, and to cover his tracks up, the first thing he thought of was to burn down the building.
Yeah.
He had a history of arson, I think they said.
And I believe he
0 to 100, like immediately.
He used 10 gallons of gasoline when he did that.
That's like my entire gas tank.
That's a lot of gas.
Wait, I don't have a car. Never mind.
It's like you don't know how to start a fire. 10 fucking
Yeah, right.
gallons
Use
of
some paper.
gasoline.
You're telling me they don't have TP hanging around?
Crazy shit. But he's also broken into people's houses. He's done what almost sounds like
history.
Yeah, but it almost sounds like juvenile type shit.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Nothing that's like chopping people up and hiding their bodies in a tree, kind of crazy.
Wow, way to give away the punchline of the story.
But you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Just a typical rough guy. Now I guess that's all we got on him for the early goings. Definitely odd.
Definitely.
Might take us to the day of the event on November 10th of 2010, Jake.
Yep. He had randomly selected a house in Apple Valley, Ohio. The homeowner's name was Tina Herman. The house was more secluded in her neighborhood, and the door was always less slightly open on the garage. I don't know why they would do that. Maybe to let the dogs out. Maybe to let some air come through.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure,
was probably to let an animal in or out. How about you, man?
Yeah, probably right.
Seems to make sense, right? Yeah. Not everyone's got a doggy door.
And you know what? This is a community that isn't high in crime, so people breaking in probably isn't something that's on their minds.
Right. They're probably not too worried about
it.
He had actually stayed out the night before and slept in the nearby woods. He was staking this place out for a little bit. He had kind of figured out the pattern when she was out at work, when the kids were gone,
so
all that stuff.
I believe they said his mom lived down the street in this neighborhood.
Correct.
So he actually had reason, to be out in the neighborhood. So it didn't seem that strange, even though he was doing strange things while hanging out in the neighborhood.
And to be honest, he was known for being strange, like we said, his entire life.
Right.
So seeing this guy out there doing bizarre
strange
shit,
stuff is normal stuff.
Probably normal stuff for
Right.
that neighborhood. Oh, there's Matt
There he is
again,
again.
acting like a fucking
Tarzan.
weirdo, just
Crazy.
Okay.
But anyways, Jake.
I forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry. So I believe where we were at was that he was staying on the in the vicinity, sleeping there, keeping an eye on things, monitoring their schedule.
Yep. So I guess I'm assuming the next day, because he had slept in the woods the night before.
Yeah.
He snuck into the house after everyone had left, and he was inside the house for only an hour until Tina and her friend. Oh no, her neighbor, Stephanie Sprang. Probably friends, I would assume.
Can we talk about how apparently he just went through the whole house, just handling their things, just
But prior to seeing them,
touching everything, moving things around,
but not really stealing anything,
just moving things around,
which is important to say.
Right, because he said it was a breaking and entering kind of thing. He came there to rob the place.
Right.
The thing is, he didn't steal anything, but he just went through the house, touching this, moving this around, carrying this, carrying that.
Right.
He was actually surprised by the people in the house when he wasn't in the process of stealing anything. He was more in the process of exploring.
Maybe would you say acting like a strange person? Maybe somebody that's not fully there.
Well, he went into the house, and like Ashton said, he's kind of just like picking things up and looking at them. Oh, that's kind of cool, and drop it back down and just exploring.
Really
leaving his fingerprints
It's like
everywhere.
Urban Exploration Home Edition or something.
Well, think about
it.
If he's, because we know what he did before we get into it, but you're touching everything in the house. You're leaving evidence on everything you touch. What are you doing?
There wasn't any mention of gloves on him, right?
I don't remember reading anything about gloves.
I didn't either.
So he's leaving his prints everywhere.
He was carrying weapons, though, right?
Knives?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was just knives.
Makeshift billy club, right?
A blackjack, yeah.
I don't remember that.
A blackjack. Yeah, but we'll get into that. So, now what ends up happening? They stumble. The residents, the daughter of the homeowner and her friend.
Well, just like Adam over his words, the homeowner stumble across him when they show up at the house. What was her name again? I'm stumbling for names now. Help me out.
Sarah and Stephanie?
Yeah.
The neighbor is Stephanie?
Tina, wasn't it?
Tina's the homeowner.
Yeah, Tina and Stephanie. Stephanie show up. They come across him, and he kills them, basically. Sarah's...
well, no, he doesn't kill Sarah.
No?
No.
Well, then you take over. Don't look at me like I know the story.
So I think the sister and her brother come in, right?
Yeah.
He kills the brother right away. The sister tries to run and get away.
Yeah, but he got the kids after he got the two two women.
What happens is Tina's two children, 13-year-old Sarah and 11-year-old Cody.
Right.
They're stumbled when they come in. And what also happens is, at this time, they got the dog kind of going off.
What kind of dog?
I'm not sure.
An annoying dog like that?
Yeah.
Like the kind that barks all the time?
So what happens, I believe, is that he throws Sarah into a room.
Shut up, dog.
Hey, shut that fucking dog up.
Okay. Sorry.
No, he throws Sarah into a room, and I believe he stabs the brother and the mother to death at that point. And but Sarah doesn't know that 'cause she's in another room.
Right.
And he hides the bodies into I want to say at this time in the bathroom. Is that what you?
I believe
read
he
as well?
hid them in the tub. Yeah.
Yeah. And he took Sarah and he put was it like an adult diaper on her, kind of a thing? It depends.
If you want to call it a diaper.
Depends.
Kind of. But it's odd because he takes her back to his place, and this is where he holds her captive
For a little wine and dine.
And they don't really know. She doesn't know anything that's going on. She doesn't know. I mean, she believes that her family's dead. What?
Just go. I'm thinking of something in my head. It might come out later.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well, she believes her family's dead, but she doesn't know exactly what's going on. Now, to her surprise, when they get to his house, it's kind of a strange scene. I mean, we were talking about that before we showed up. I mean, you guys got anything to add on this fucking weird house?
I think they said that the house was filled with leaves, covered wall to wall. Actually, the house itself was an old, creepy house, right? 9 years old, maybe. No, I'm sorry, not 9 years old, but
what it was that he had brought several. I mean, a ridiculous amount of leaves from all over the place. This guy had 2 trees on his property. Okay,
it sounds like he just went out kind of looking for leaves, walking through the woods, maybe.
I'd say so.
Is that Dino?
No, that's you walking through the leaves.
Well, that's someone else walking through the leaves. We had a raking leaves sound effect, but it worked like the first time I played it, and then it didn't work subsequently.
I think that was a fan outside of the shed.
Well, this guy
Hold on, let me go investigate.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, no, I ain't getting up. That's too much work.
Well, anyway, so this guy had filled his house with leaves. There were piles of leaves in some rooms. Some rooms, they say, were almost filled from the floor to the ceiling. And there were other rooms where he took leaves and put them in, like, Kmart bags, Walmart bags.
Yeah.
Almost looked like a great insulation idea for the shed.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's onto something.
You know what, though? The guy...
You know what you should do? You should pull up a picture of that right now so we can study how he did it so that when it comes time to insulate the shed this summer or this fall, because we got to wait till all the leaves fall off.
That's right.
Right, exactly.
It's a great idea.
Pull that shit up.
Maybe he's smarter than we give him credit for.
We need a
No.
barking dog, though.
Hold on,
No,
we
we
can
don't.
get Lily. It's not quite Lily, but close enough.
So this guy, right? So what do we got here? This guy is a tree lover in a sense. He's
Seemingly.
he's known for hiding in trees and stuff. He has filled his house with leaves.
He's
Yep.
killed a family.
He's
right?
killed a mother. He's killed a brother, and he's kept the sister alive. We'll call the Sarah.
Right. And don't forget the mom's neighbor.
the neighbor Stephanie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's got Sarah there in the house, and he's made her a bed out of leaves. And he's envious in a sense. He looks at it and he says, I wish I could take a nap there. This is such a comfortable looking. It's like,
And this is where I was thinking in my head. I started singing that Bon Jovi song, Bed of Roses, but I was replacing roses with leaves in my head.
Bed of leaves.
And I thought it would have been perfect, but never mind.
so this guy, he's kind of he's crazy. I mean, that's for sure. And I mean, we're gonna put some pictures of the house up on social media. But
Yep.
if you look at his property on...
Our insulation inspired by his house.
Well, you know what? It's just like this guy must have been going all over the place collecting leaves in the middle of the woods and loading his vehicle and bringing it back. It's that much leaves.
Yeah.
Nobody has that many leaves that blow over under their yard.
Well,
I don't care how big your property... It's just insane.
I think you'd be surprised at how many leaves are in my little ass yard.
So while he... Should we maybe take a beer break before we get into what goes on with Stephanie and so on?
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Might be a good
All
idea.
right.
And Mr. Hoffman, do you understand everything that's been said here today? Yes. It's been indicated to me it's your desire at this time to enter a guilty plea to counts 1 and counts 2 of the indictment, charges of aggravated murder and unclassified felony. Is that a correct statement? Yes. It's also been indicated to me it's your desire to enter a guilty plea to count 3, an additional charge of aggravated murder under a different statute, an unclassified felony. Is that a correct statement? Yes. It's also been indicated to me it's your desire to enter a guilty plea to count 4, a charge of aggravated burglary, a first-degree felony. Is that a correct statement? Yes. You desire to enter a guilty plea to count 5, charge of kidnapping, a first-degree felony. Correct? Yes. And is it your desire to enter a guilty plea to count 6, a charge of rape, a first-degree felony? Yes. And to count 7, a charge of tampering with evidence, a third-degree felony? Yes. And is your desire to enter a guilty plea to counts 8, 9, and 10, charges of abuse of corpse, fifth-degree felonies? Correct? Yes. Is there anything the defendant would like to say on his own behalf, or anything counsel for the defendant would like to put on the record before the court passes sentence?
Your Honor, Mr. Hoffman has asked me to make a brief statement. That is simply, the family deserves to know that this was a random burglary that went terribly, terribly wrong.
Oh, yours worked first. Lame.
Yeah.
That's okay. You have a can. What are you drinking?
Well, I had to mix it up because we ran out of brewskis.
Oh, no. You're like 12 deep. I don't think you should drink anymore.
I know. This is an Otter Creek Brewing, by Otter Creek Brewing. They're out of Vermont.
And that's your 17th beer?
17th one. Free Flow IPA. These babies are delicious. I love them. This is a mind-melting
There's the 21st.
IPA.
You can hear it in your voice.
Delicious. Yes.
What do you
Good.
give it?
Oh, this is a good 4 Scully Fingers. I recommend this to anybody.
What's it take to get a 5? Have we had a 5 beer yet?
I feel like...
I don't think we have, to be honest with
Ooh,
you.
you guys are harsh.
I think if we have a 5, I might fucking die right in this shed.
I only come
recommend a
on
5
every
here.
once in a while, so
Yeah, right.
You know, I give things 3s and 4s all day. I don't deserve to give anything a 5.
A
but to
5
hear
is-
you guys haven't given anything a 5 yet.
To me, 5 is perfection. It's
Right.
and you
let's-
haven't had
and
one
let's-
yet.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody's perfect.
Baxter's
You know?
Brewing is pretty
Jeez,
close.
you
In
guys are
Lewiston,
judging
Maine, they're
hard.
delicious. They're close, but
They are very good. I've gone there a couple times just by myself and tried all new stuff on their beer menu, and they change it up so often that you almost can't help but have the new thing.
we certainly recommend you go check out their pub. They're really good.
That place is beautiful.
You know what? I take back what I said about this beer. This Citradelic it actually is pretty good. I'll give it a. I'll give it a 4.5.
This is what always happens after you suck down a couple.
It's true.
There.
You know
start-
why?
everything
Because
tastes good.
because it's not that bad. You know, I feel a nice buzz, but I can still get through what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So I give it a nice, and it's not strong. So that's more of a reason why I gave it like a 3. But it actually does have a kick. It's just not overly.
Creeping
perfect.
beer.
Yeah.
So
It's a creeper beer for sure.
creeper.
Speaking of
It's a creeper.
Speaking of creepers.
getting creepers and getting through what we're doing here.
You know, it waits in a tree for you.
Right. Might be walking through the woods or something. So speaking of walking through the woods, we left off. He decided that he was going to take the younger one out to his house, and he has to go back, take care of the bodies that he left.
or take the sister, the female.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's 13. She's 13.
She's
13,
13, right.
Sarah.
So he brings her to his house, puts an adult diaper on her, kind of, sort of, and then makes his way back to the
Leaves
to
her
the house. And,
Betta leaves in the basement, locks the door.
So
and
what
takes off
what
back.
does she think is done with her family and things?
She's not certain. Well, she has a good feeling that they've been killed, but she's
Right.
not 100% sure.
Right. And she actually asks him at one point. I don't know why we're still playing Walking in Leaves here.
It was kind of therapeutic.
It really
And
was.
citradelic.
Should we just restart this? Hold on. We're just gonna restart it. It is nice therapeutic background noise.
Yeah, you know.
So she actually asked him at one point, did you kill my mom and my brother? And he looks at her and says, don't worry about it, which is like the worst response you can give someone in that moment. Not that you should ever be in that situation, but I just don't feel like that's an appropriate response.
So she's locked up, terrified in the basement on a bed of leaves and an adult diaper, uncertain of what's going on.
Wrapped in a fucking plastic bag on top of that.
And then what does he do? He makes his way back to the house.
Is this the noise of leaves or plastic bags?
It's
Not
both.
sure.
It's leaves being stuffed into plastic bags.
And made his insulation for the shed.
Yeah. So anyway, so he goes back to the house, and he's got to kind
Did
of
he walk through a bunch of leaves?
probably, but he's thinking he's got to pick up his mess. Now the funny thing is, like we noted on earlier, he's fucking touched everything in the house.
No
Right.
gloves, as far as we know.
But now he's feeling like he's got to dispose of the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So what he does is he takes them into the bathtub, I believe, and he cuts them into pieces. Do we know what kind of instrument he used?
I'm not sure, but wasn't he a guy who chopped down trees? Did he?
Yeah, he was what was the word? Arborist?
Arborist. So it's
Yeah.
safe to assume that it was probably some kind of...
Tools he were familiar with, at least.
Right. He was an unemployed arborist at the time.
If it chops off down a tree, it'll chop your leg off.
Then again,
That is
this
true.
guy wasn't the brightest guy, so maybe he used like a butter knife. Who knows?
But either way, he
Right.
chopped them up, and he brought them to a local wildlife area where he had regularly climbed trees, and he had his tree climbing equipment.
Yep, and he dumped the body parts in a 60-foot tall hollow tree. The wildlife area was called the Kokusing? Is that what that says? I can't really...
Yeah, Kokosing, I would say.
Kokosing wildlife area.
Yeah.
Wasn't he hit? So he wrapped them up, right?
Yeah, he threw their body parts, I believe, in bags.
Yeah, well, no, I thought he used tarps.
Oh, tarps,
Because
rather.
remember,
You're right. It is tarps.
Because I think you had actually brought it up in the break that he had gone to Walmart and grabbed some stuff. Remember what he grabbed? I know one of them was tarps.
Some rope, I believe.
Oh,
But
okay.
I do know that
Okay.
he was caught on camera. That's
Okay.
You know, he was caught on surveillance.
What's the worst part is, like, if you're going to do something like that, wouldn't you buy that stuff months in advance?
What's even crazier about all this is that even though he's wrapped these body parts up and tied up into tarps and such, he actually, I believe, arranges a pulley system, and that's how he lowers the remains into this tree.
60-foot tree, right?
60-foot tree. I mean, think about it. You got to climb a 60-foot tree. What are you gonna do? Have
Right.
a fucking body in a wrapped up tarp on your back?
Yeah,
Climb up the tree. No,
that's a good
he
question.
actually arranged a pulley system.
So it's funny that we
shit.
we
So
say
we-
this guy wasn't all there, but
Bingo.
he comes up with this pulley system.
He's
I'm
smarter than the
confused.
three of us. Damn it!
Ready?
Mind blowing. Yeah,
Thank you.
right there.
Mind blowing.
So he arranged a pulley system, yanks these bodies up, drops them into a hollow tree, which is something that happens naturally as a tree can get a certain type of bacteria and it'll cause it to rot out.
Yeah, it rots from the inside out.
But it just tells you this guy just went through the Kokosing wildlife area over probably several years, climbing trees, and
Yeah.
finally found that perfect tree.
You know,
to dump some
this
bodies
is
in.
because of where he dumped this body. You knew that he knew this was the place that he could put these bodies at, which means he probably was very familiar with the trees.
Are you saying he maybe planned this out over a period of
yeah.
time? He was like, "Yeah, once that day comes that I
You
pull
don't just
this off."
your first
Yeah.
thought
This is my
isn't,
tree.
I'm going to put this in a tree.
Right, well,
You sleep on that for a while.
Right. How long do you think it would take him to design a pulley system to get them up there too? It's
Definitely
not like a
didn't take
20-minute
him a
thing,
day.
you know.
Well, I don't know. He was a guy that was an arborist, so maybe
Okay, maybe.
pulling
All right.
pulling heavy equipment up that way. I don't know. Arborists that are listening, let us know.
Yep.
We're ignorant to your arboring ways here in the shed.
Please enlighten us. We'll give you our email at the end.
That's right. So after he does this, he then returns back to his house
And makes himself a pulled pork sandwich.
Is that what he does? Metheny style?
I thought it was a squirrel burger.
Maybe it was a squirrel burger.
I think it was a squirrel
No,
burger.
that is
You're
definitely
right.
the sizzle of squirrel, and I know living
On a
back here in the
charcoal grill.
woods.
Oh yeah, you've eaten squirrel.
It's delicious.
Is it?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because we'll get into that, but when
Well, do you keep it in your freezer like he does?
you know what? If I shot enough squirrel and I have
Next to
time,
the popsicles.
Next to the red popsicles.
yeah, we'll get more into that. But another thing about this guy is that he was a squirrel-eating motherfucker. As
Was
you
he?
say.
He, as Ashton said earlier, he was a nut.
He was a nut.
There you go.
So Yeah. So anyway, squirrel, delicious. It tastes nutty.
Does it?
And if you cook it the right way, it's good on the. And you can shoot them from your window. So, anyways, when I
to make a game out of it, right?
Yeah, right.
And we have,
It's like duck hunt, but it's squirrel hunt.
When I heard this, I was like, "Wow, you know what? I can see why he might want to eat squirrel. It doesn't seem that odd to me." And
Well,
I know
you know why?
And our southern listeners will agree to that.
Okay,
too, 'cause
well,
there's
listen.
some squirrel-eating people in the South. They love it.
Well, listen, you know why he ate squirrels is because he straight up refused to go to the grocery store.
He
He
didn't-
hated grocery shopping. Listen,
But he went to
But he
Walmart.
went to fucking Walmart.
Right. Well, was it a Walmart Supercenter or was it
It
Walmart
doesn't
not
matter.
Supercenter?
In Maine, Walmart is the worst place to be.
I contemplate suicide
I don't
every
even-
time I pull into the fucking parking
I
lot
really
there.
don't even feel like that's just a Maine thing. I feel like that's everywhere that there is Walmart. It's the worst place to be.
I think Maine Walmart takes the cake.
And I'll be honest, I shop there a lot. And as much as I hate it, it's
Part
so
of the
convenient.
problem.
It's so convenient, though. It
Anyways,
has everything.
I bet he goes in his heart PJs.
I go, never mind.
So
we're getting too far.
We're
from
getting
this
too
topic.
far from this, yeah. So what he ends up doing is he goes back to his house and he starts to, what seems like, try to make her feel comfortable. He starts watching movies with her. They watch Iron Man 1 and 2. So he says, what?
He's got an arm around her the whole time. So
Yeah,
he
right.
says.
So he says,
So he says, okay.
so
That's just a weird movie to watch with someone you've kidnapped.
it's a great movie.
I've never
Anyways,
seen it. So.
anyways, that's another rant. But so what he ends up doing is they watch Iron Man 1 and 2 supposedly, and he's trying to comfort her in a sense. He doesn't want to hurt her, and he tells her that. He says that he is going.
I don't want to hurt you, but I'm going to kidnap you and tie you to a bed of
Well, I'm not
leaves
gonna
in
kill
my
you.
basement.
After he killed her family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what he?
I'm sorry, I'm just not buying that
So he's
one.
trying to comfort her, and she's a smart kid. She's very brave. She kind of
Right.
plays with him. I think she can probably sense he's an idiot in some ways, maybe brilliant in others, but she kind of plays with that, and she ends up not dying. She stays alive there for the 2 days that she's held captive.
She was there for 4 days.
Was it 4 days?
Yep.
Wow. Well, now that you bring that up, he ends up just keeping her in that same position for those 4 days, and then what ends up happening?
He gets caught. I don't remember how he gets caught, to be honest with you.
I believe he gets caught because they find him driving her vehicle. They find him driving. I'm
Really?
sorry, the family vehicle.
Really?
The cops end up interviewing him just to figure out that he's the same guy that they caught on camera from Walmart, and they quickly put 2 and 2 together. Then they storm in his
Dead
house.
family's vehicle.
Right. He's around in the area. They end up asking him a question. He actually gets interviewed by one of the cops because he's in the area. He uses the excuse that he's here to pick up a girlfriend of his who works at a bar across the street.
Oh, okay.
And you know
But-
what? As much as we say the police do lousy investigating in the shed, this would probably be a case where the police did a good job investigating.
Well,
where
it's
they were
funny that
quickly
they-
able to throw things together.
Hey, you might not want to say that. We got a very special listener that I learned about today that might write an article about us.
Oh yeah, right. But
Yeah.
well, we do say that though, and this would be a case where the police within 4 days were able to put 2 and 2 together. You're saying?
Yeah, I
That's
don't
a
know who
subtle
the
shout-out.
officer was, but apparently this guy was seen, near the scene, which is a thing that a lot of these guys who commit these crimes do. There's a high percentage of these guys who hang out near the crime scene to see what goes on. Of course, this guy comes back, wanders on to the crime scene. The cops end up interviewing this guy, asking him what he's doing there, and he uses that excuse of his girlfriend.
You know what? He doesn't say anything in the beginning, from what I understand.
Right.
From what I'm told, he sits there initially being under his being interrogated and lets tape, recording tape, just totally run and end, with not saying a word.
Really?
And then what ends up happening the following day? What's that, Ashton?
Oh, just looking at the part where he says that he had a girlfriend. He was waiting for her to get off of work. Just
Right.
reading through.
And I believe that was the following day that he starts coming out with this. But that day that he's first arrested, he doesn't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. Well, they initially confronted him because he was in the same parking lot where her truck was found. He
Right.
was just kind of hanging out there.
Yeah, very
Right.
strange.
Tina's truck.
Tina's truck, yeah.
Right.
And so when he finally starts to talk, I mean, what's the story that he gives?
I think he doesn't say anything for a couple days. He's really silent about what's going on. before he confesses, he doesn't say anything.
And it seemed like his concern was about that tree.
Okay, wait. I feel like we skipped something. How did he end up getting arrested? I'm looking at the notes here, and what I'm seeing is they eventually classified him as a suspect within the next couple days, right?
So here's
and they
what
raided
happened.
his house.
Here's what happened. They find this guy, near the crime scene,
Right.
near the family truck.
Right.
And so the cops end up questioning him about what he's doing there. That's when he uses the excuse that he's there to pick up a girlfriend.
Right.
From there, they realize that he's also the guy who was seen going to Walmart, buying the tarp and all of this stuff because the family vehicle was also used.
Right.
Okay, so then they put two and two together. Within a couple of days, the cops kick in his door. They're throwing a flashbang.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sarah's safely recovered from the basement.
Yep, they find her in the basement.
Oh, wow.
So even though they find her in the basement, they know that he committed these murders, he still won't confess to where he hid the family bodies.
Oh, okay.
But you know what?
Oh,
What
okay.
ends up happening? At some point, he cracks.
Right.
And he cares so much. It's weird. It's so bizarre in my mind to wrap around this because it seems like he cares so much about that tree. He says, if I tell you what happened, promise me you're not going to chop this tree down. I mean, did you get
Why?
it?
So you could use it again?
Well, get this. So they of course, and with his telling of where these bodies are, right? Because they never would have found this. These are bodies in a 60-foot tree in the middle of a wildlife preserve. Mm-hmm. They never would have found these bodies. So he says, I'm going to tell you where they are under the conditions that you don't chop the tree down. And
let me add on to that. He also said that they have to stage a scene of him breaking out, and they have to shoot him in order to. He said that they would have to shoot him if he told them where the bodies were. Otherwise, he was just going to kill himself in prison.
Yeah, just
Wow,
totally
okay.
like crazy, weird
Yeah.
stuff to say, but. So they agree, and what this ends up doing is it takes, because Ohio is a death penalty state.
They definitely don't agree to shooting him, but they do
Of course.
agree to
the tree, to preserving the tree. So this takes the death penalty off the table. Now he's up for life imprisonment, and he tells them exactly where and what he did. And I believe what ends up happening is he ends up giving a 4-page, from what I understand, it's a 4-page confession.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Anyone else think it's weird that you can negotiate how you die or how you spend your time as long as they don't find everything right away? Anyone else think that's weird? Like, for example, this guy didn't tell them where the bodies were right away, so he was able to negotiate not being given the death penalty.
Well, I think they just wanted
weird.
to. Yeah, well,
It
I
is
think they
kinda
do
weird.
that because they just
kinda
want
weird.
to find.
Right, they want to close the case, but it's
closure for
weird
the
that you have
families.
some kind of leverage, as a criminal. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what he ends up doing is he gives the information up. He tells
Right.
them exactly where this tree is because he knows where it is because it's a tree that's very important to him. And what they end up doing is cutting a rectangle out of the tree. You guys, there's a
Yeah.
picture of that I'll make sure it gets up on Facebook.
Yep.
They cut a rectangle out of the tree, and from there they're able to
extract the bodies.
extract the bodies from this cavity that was created within this tree.
They
Wow.
also cut the tree down because they didn't want that kind of landmark.
Well, that's
So
what's
much for
funny.
keeping your end of the
get this.
bargain.
So after they find it, and then he's convicted and all this, out of respect for the family and for the victims, they end up cutting the tree down.
Wow.
yeah.
But
Again,
this-
so much for keeping their end of the bargain.
Right. But this is
Like they owe him something.
It's kind of a crazy story. So when during all of this, his lawyer, his defense, and this is what kind of gets interesting to me.
Is this going to be a good defense?
Well, not really.
Does it deserve a drum roll?
Give it a
All right.
drum roll.
All right.
Go for it. He didn't mean to kill anybody. So what the story is, thank you.
That's it.
What his lawyers, his defenses, was that he was just going there for a little break-in and
Breaking and
entering, going to do some stealing.
I'm just going to come into your house and check out all your shit.
Not
Right.
steal anything.
Right.
But just look at it.
But this is the story, guys. So he goes.
like window shopping.
The defense is that he goes in there to do some robbery, some that.
Is it really a robbery if you're just going in and looking at shit?
What is it
listen,
then?
but no,
I don't
listen.
know.
This is what the defense is saying, and this is why it's already sounds weird to you guys. And I only said one sentence.
What is it, just trespassing?
It doesn't make sense.
Tell us.
So tell us. No, so he goes in there to do a robbery, is what the story is by his court defense, and when he was startled by them, didn't know what to do. He ends up doing all this murdering and all that. But it just basically they said, oh, things just got out of control. He wasn't really that bad of a guy, and
I can't say that that he wasn't really a bad guy. I can say that in a situation like that, things probably did get out of control. You know, like,
well, he killed the dog out of fucking like anxiety.
Well,
I'm
I
sure.
mean, if I had to listen to this all the time, I'd fucking kill the dog too.
shut it off, though.
The dog does not agree. Anyway,
But yeah, you know, so that was the defense's story, was that this was just a simple robbery that got out of control.
a simple robbery. He didn't mean to do any harm. I'm just gonna come into your house.
It was so bizarre. I mean,
What's with the
Weird.
weapons if it was just a simple robbery?
Yeah, exactly.
what's
Why
with
do
the
you
sleeping in the
carry-
neighborhood, watching the house, canvassing the neighborhood, and climbing up trees?
A simple robbery gone wrong. No, that's very premeditated. If it was a simple robbery, it would be something like, "Oh, I'm gonna rob this house that looks empty." Just walking by.
And you know what? It's almost kind of sad because I almost feel like this guy doesn't belong so much in prison, but maybe more in like a mental facility.
Yeah, probably.
You know, just because.
Probably.
I mean, this is kind of crazy, but obviously he lost his court case, and he's now in prison for life.
You know, we say that, but this guy, he came up with this pulley system in order to lower some bodies down. He also came up with the idea to cut these bodies up, and came up with a pretty smart place to put these bodies. So
yeah,
it's hard to say that this guy wasn't all the way there, but he came up with a good scheme. How did he get caught anyway? Because so far, I doubt.
Are you saying he did everything so good up until a certain point,
Yeah,
and then he got,
yeah.
and then
Well,
everything fell apart for him?
left his fingerprints all over their house.
Well,
though.
well, even before that, you're driving around. These people are people care about these people. They're trying to get a hold of them. The police are looking for them. They're found dead in their house,
Right.
And you're driving around in their fucking vehicle, dumbass.
Was he driving around in their vehicle? I don't remember reading that.
I
but
could
I could have
believe
missed it.
I believe he was driving around in their vehicle at some point. You know, when he left fingerprints everywhere. I mean, he's doing things that are intelligent but also reckless.
Right. Like driving around in someone else's vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not very smart. I say that as I'm borrowing my grandmother's vehicle, but I'm not killing people in my grandmother's car, so it's okay.
So he says.
You know, and he says things like, you know, he went in with a knife and a blackjack.
What the hell is a blackjack?
It's like what the cops used to beat the shit out of people in the 30s.
Oh, okay, but that doesn't really
It's
explain
like a
to me
beaver
what it
tail
is.
type thing.
What the
right?
hell is a beaver tail?
It's like a club. It's a club.
It's a club.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
A
That's all
makeshift
I wanted
club,
to know.
though. It's
All right.
it's more stretchy or
Oh, with like spikes on it and stuff?
no,
Yeah.
not
No?
spikes. It's more like it's filled with stuff, it's more like a pillowcase, a small pillowcase filled with something heavy to whack people over the head.
Oh.
I wouldn't know
okay.
anything about that personally. I
Okay.
just read the
I,
story.
I believe you.
But
Hey, I gotta go, guys.
But this is definitely a story of.
I think someone's
Did-
calling.
well,
me.
no,
Don't shoot.
But is this a story of where maybe society failed this guy? Because there's been opportunities for him to be helped. I mean, he's been arrested in the past. He's showing all these weird signs. He's had,
The neighbors are familiar with his weirdness.
and he's just been going on being a weirdo for 30 years.
Yeah,
and then
everyone knows about it. No one's ever. He's just being arrested and released, catch and release.
catch
Yeah,
and release.
kinda.
It's like bass fishing with this dude.
Right. Can we talk a little bit about his house?
Yeah,
Just a little more
yeah,
about
go
his
back
house
to it,
because
yeah.
I
mean,
really
no, we're
just,
going into
Jake
his
would
mental.
like
okay.
to dive into the leaf.
Well, I'm just
the
saying,
leaf
if
spot.
someone made me a giant leaf pile in my living room, I think they would be my best friend.
Jake, I think we'd catch you making a fucking giant leaf angel in there.
You're probably right. You know what's really funny? My friend in South Carolina this is like a month back. I know, a little side story, but he was saying it was like 70 degrees down there, and I'm like, that's bullshit. That's annoying. I don't believe you. I go, we just had a foot of snow. And he goes, well, that's stupid, but why the hell would anyone want to live in Maine anyway? So I went outside in my fucking swim trunks, and I made my sister record me. I was making snow angels in my fucking swim trunks in the backyard. Swear to God.
Oh, yeah.
Swear to God. It was fucking cold. I will never do it again.
And you'd be making leaf angels if you had a house full of leaves.
We're gonna catch this guy in a tree soon.
So, anyways, what
There's
you
no
wanna,
trees tall enough to climb in my yard.
what'd you want to say about his house?
I just thought it was weird how he how long does it take to fill your entire house with leaves?
Jake
How
is
many
stuck on
times-
this thing with the
Well, I'm just thinking it's such a good insulation method for this fucking shed. It is so cold in
So
here
cold.
sometimes.
And you know what, though? There is a book called, I believe it's The Girl in the Leaves, that's written about this story.
Is it really?
Oh,
I
okay,
haven't
didn't
read
know
it.
that.
I do know, actually, a shout out to a listener, Dory.
Dory, what's her last name? Do we know?
I don't know.
Should we share it
I
anyway?
don't know. Either way, but Dory, you know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you
read
are.
the book. You recommended
Or
the
maybe
story.
you don't. Maybe you have a 5-second attention span like
Big
Dory
shout
from
out to
Finding
Dory. Do we have a sound for
Finding
Dory?
Dory. Who's
Oh, I don't know.
Dory, we love
anyone
it.
knows Dory?
We know Dory, man. You know Dory.
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 Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Dory. This was a fun one.
Does this sound effect work for Dory?
I thought it should be something more like just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
But we'll take this for now. Dory, thank you. This was a fun one. But, yeah, so there is a book about this. So if anybody is interested, they want to do kind of go a little bit deeper in this, you can find a book, The Girl in the Leaves. I don't know who wrote it,
Yep.
but check it out if you found this interesting. I did.
What's just really interesting about this whole story to me, I cannot get past the guy's obsession with trees and just filling your entire house
again.
with leaves. I cannot wrap my brain around that. Like,
Well, because you're not fucking nuts, Jake. It's why you can't wrap your brain around it.
Eat a squirrel first, and then maybe you could.
Yeah, because when
no.
when the police
gotta
There's no
take the
meat on
proper
that.
steps to understand it.
Now, when
That's fair.
Sarah was released, you know, and they found her and all this, they did find his fridge and freezer full of red popsicles,
Red
and
popsicles.
squirrels.
That's the best color.
And you know what else that I had heard on a side note, kind of a sad thing, was that after all of this, of course, Sarah's mother was killed. Was a victim in this. And she went to live with her father,
And all he ate was squirrels.
No, and his stepmother. Did you read about this at all?
Yep.
And I believe he abused her.
They abused her. Yep.
This fucking
she actually
kid.
got I think a protection order against the mom.
The stepmother, yeah.
For kicking her down some steps.
Yeah.
The dad himself had punched her in the back. So after experiencing all this trauma,
I said
and
go to bed.
going through these terrible situations, you know, she ends up going to live with her stepmother and father, and they end up abusing her.
You can't help but feel bad for this kid. She can't catch a break.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So
Tough kid, right?
I wonder how she's doing today.
This girl's had an interesting life.
Had a
to say
tough
the least.
life. Yeah. You know what? If Sarah, if you hear this, shoot us an email because we're wondering how you're doing. Because this is we feel for you here in the shed.
We hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So what was the deal on her parents and things? How'd that ever work out? Anyone know?
As far
I
as
have
what
no
I
idea.
believe they had to take like some kind of anger management classes, but they were dismissed of charges. Kind of got off on it.
So how old is she today? Anyone know?
She
Well, she was 13 when this happened in
in
2010.
2010. Yep. So 13 plus 9.
You're asking me at the wrong time.
22.
22. Yeah. I bet you she's not a big fan of Taylor Swift.
But she's hopefully a fan
Or
of the shed.
leaves.
Well,
I
we'll
doubt
find
she
out.
likes leaves.
Yeah, I bet you she's scared of trees. Poor girl.
I picture her a Palmetto fan. Anyways, so
Anyway, we're done making jokes at her expense.
yeah. But if she hears us, hopefully she shoots us an email because we would be very interested to hear from
You
her.
were very rude.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so this would be the story of Matt Hoffman. We got anything else on
Oh,
him? Anything
really?
else?
Thank you. Thank you very much for letting me know.
The story of Matt Hoffman.
I'd like to add in that
It's
when
like
the cops
putting-
came to search his place, they kicked around in the leaves for a minute. There must have been...
They must have done some playing. They
'cause
had to
you
have.
got me stuck on this thing with the house and the leaves.
Well,
now,
listen,
Jake.
man, they just cut out a hollow tree.
I'm just.
They cut out a hollow tree. Well, no, they would have found the house first, but you know what? They would have found the girl on the leaves, so any other leaves would have really freaked her out. Coupled with the fact that there's leaves fucking everywhere, hidden in the
What's
leaves.
with the leaves?
What's with the leaves?
Why does he have a house full of leaves? We
I'm
got. It could be insulation. It could make him feel at home, right?
Up in
Right.
the trees.
Maybe
Right.
he thinks he's a bird and he feels more comfortable near in a nest.
He identifies as a bird. That's how that works. Okay, pick me. My hand's raised.
You
He's
got
a
a
couple
Jake.
eggs
Okay.
short of a basket.
Okay, perfect. I'm just saying, I had a really great idea. I like his idea with the leaves as insulation, if that's really how he did it. I'm just saying.
we can write him a letter and ask him if that's what it's about.
Well, we could ask him. That's a really good idea,
Yeah.
but I just had a thought. Why don't we get a bunch of those vacuum bags? What do they call those? Space bags? I don't know. You put a bunch of shit in them. You put like sweaters and blankets and shit.
Sure.
And you vacuum all the air out of them.
Listeners, we love you. Help us heat the shed. Help us
Yeah.
keep it
I just
warm.
say we use that shit as insulation. And
Give
then
us some
we put
ideas.
some friggin'
I don't think he
plasterboard,
was
whatever the
using
hell that
his.
shit is.
I don't think he was using his sleeves to run a podcast. I just
No, I don't think he was trying to start
No,
a
I don't think
podcast
so either.
studio in his house.
You know what? I think Ashton's right. I know where he's going with this. I think he covered his house with leaves because he liked to be up in the trees. Somehow he felt comfort from being in the trees.
maybe
And-
he started to notice that was weird to be in the trees, so he brought the leaves to him.
Right. I don't want to go to the party. I want the party to come to
Hey
me.
guys, how about
Yeah.
we switch it up a little?
Yeah, right. Right. Why don't you come hang out in
Why
my
don't you
tree?
come crash at my place?
No, thanks.
So I
I'm
guess-
all set.
This would really be the story of Matt Hoffman. This would
Yep.
be it.
Yep, I
So-
agree. I don't know who else we would talk about.
Well, what about his sentence? His sentencing?
Life.
Life,
in
You got
prison?
life.
life
yeah.
in prison, no possibility of parole. He's
Yeah.
stuck there.
So as of today, he's how old?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, this is 20.
He was 30 at the time. He's old enough to
40.
fucking party.
He's almost
He's
40.
going to be turning 40
Yeah, he's old enough to know better.
to know better. He was old enough at 30 to know better.
Oh, for sure. Do you think
But-
Ed Kemper intimidates him in jail? Like he did to that other guy.
I know. Well, they're not in the same
Do
prison.
you think he
but
throws peanuts at him?
There's probably
whatever
people
the hell
there
Ed
that
did?
are not fan of a child rapist.
We're going to be at episode
And
like
of a murderer,
135,
you know?
and I'm still going to bring up Ed Kemper. There's still going to be things that relate back.
Jake
That was
loves
honestly
Oled.
one of my. That was honestly one of my favorite episodes to do because he's so intriguing. But anyway,
Do
I
you
love that
guys
Kemper.
think he misses squirrel meat?
I'm sure.
can you make a special request in prison to have meals cooked for you?
Only when
Like,
they're
if you
going to kill you.
requested-
I think you
Squirrel?
actually can if you come up with a religion and you say that's part of your religion.
Oh,
All
so
right,
what
guys.
religion eats squirrel?
The Squirrel Master religion. Anyways, we should we'll wrap this up here. What's our social media?
I don't know. You have social media, don't you?
No, you do.
Okay. Do you want to talk about some upcoming episodes first, maybe? We were
Yeah,
talking
sure.
about this earlier. Maybe we should start talking about
what
what,
do we-
we're doing
what do
ahead
we
of
got?
time. Get some people excited.
What do we got, man?
We're going to switch it up next week. I'm really excited for next week.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a music festival that was supposed to be the best music festival ever, and it never actually played out. It's called the Fire Festival.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have heard about it. There was a big documentary that just came out on Netflix. That one's going to be exciting for me personally, just because the murder thing is okay, but like it gets to be a little much sometimes.
Mix it
So
up.
that'll be cool. Let me pull up the calendar. You have the calendar on yours too, right? What do
we
we got? What do we got going on later? Oh, we got a really cool local case that Ashton, you're coming back for that one, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And we
that
actually,
one's gonna be awesome.
We've got a listener that has
Another
been-
listener.
Yeah, that and this is somebody that we don't even. Well, you might know a bit,
I
Ashton.
know her.
But Jake and I don't even really know. She's going to
Nope.
be coming out, and she's going to tell us the story.
And it's
Yep.
a good story, guys. I tell you what, it really is a good story. It will raise the hair on your arms because it comes to you right from Lewiston, and
And the best part is you have firsthand experience on it. That's
Wow.
what's exciting. Well, you didn't do anything to be part of it, but it unfolded
You'll-
in front of
What,
you.
what Jake's saying is you'll be able to contribute to what she's
Right.
telling.
You have
Yeah.
you have a unique perspective on it.
yeah, it's a sad story and it's a good story, and the young lady coming to talk about it, she's got good knowledge on it. She wasn't involved, but she knows good information about it, and she's gonna come and shed some light.
She definitely seems like somebody that's going to be fun to have out on the show. So I'm looking
Oh, for
forward
sure.
to that
I'm
episode.
telling you, the story
gonna be a
will
good one.
Raise the hair on your arms. I know it did for me. So
So we're definitely looking forward to that. We do
Yep.
have a. It's going to be like an art. We'll call it an art heist episode coming
Yep.
up.
That one's gonna be fun. And the more I think about that one, the more I think of like those cartoon episodes where someone's trying to break into an art festival and there's an art festival like an art museum and there's lasers all over the place. And
I was
if you
thinking
walk
that
in a
too.
certain room,
That's what I was
you
thinking
trip
too.
you trip off a silent alarm, and that one's gonna be fun.
That'll be a good mix-up
So
episode.
is
Yep.
there a way that fans can get in touch with you guys, and then maybe request that a show is that you guys talk about a certain show?
Yeah, they can hit us up on social media. We got Facebook, Stories from the Shed, Instagram, Stories from the Shed podcast. You can check out our YouTube channel, leave us a comment. Same thing, Stories from the Shed podcast.
Yeah, but do you guys actually read the comments?
We read every single one of them.
Adam gets to everything before I do. So listen, he checks his email, I don't know how many times a day, but I'll get up in the morning and I'll check the email, and he's already fucking gone through it. So I don't get to read anything that comes through the email.
I enjoy talking to them. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
and
So keep shooting those emails. Keep messaging us on Facebook. I'm having fun with this.
The worst of all social media, though, hands down, is Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend any extended period of time on Twitter, it's crazy out there.
But you can find us at Stories from the Shed on Twitter.
Correct.
Is our iMessage still up?
It's up, but
Jake's waiting for you on that. And then you can also hit us
Yeah.
at our Gmail account.
sftspodcast@gmail.com.
Ashton, thank you for coming out, man. Had a great
thank
time.
you very much for freezing your ass
Thanks
off
for
with us.
having me.
And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.